What's happening, everybody? It is Trey here, and I'm joined today by my dad, Sean. And today, Reactions to the Classics, we're going to be taking a look at John Lennon's Mind Games. And if this is your first time stopping by, we appreciate it. Here at the channel, we take a look back at some of the most classic albums of all time and do detailed track-by-track reviews of them. And just like today, it's the first time we've heard this record. So if that sounds like something interesting to you, be sure to hit that big red subscribe button, as well as check out our Facebook and Patreon links down below. All that to say, let's just get into the quick facts.
Let's do it. It's his fourth album since the departure from the Beatles. It was released in 1973. Only reached number 13 in the UK, number 9 in the US. It did go gold in the US. Had mixed critical reviews, and it's the first album that he self-produced entirely without any help from Phil Spector. To kind of set the scene, by the start of 1973, he wanted to distance himself a little bit from the political and social issues that he'd been attacking. It also came at a time when him and Yoko were having big time problems. They ended up separating for 18 months. Ono was completing her fourth album, and he decided he wanted to record a new album and liked her studio musicians. So he asked their assistant and production coordinator, May Pang, to give him those same studio musicians. He wanted to produce an album that would be more accepted than his previous commercial flop, Sometime in New York City.
During this time, he was in court a lot in the United States, and he was worried that they were tapping his phone, spying on him because of the political activism. He said that he was emotionally withdrawn, and that takes us into the writing of Mind Games, which he was able to complete in only 1 week. And during this time, difficulties with Ono and Lennon became more and more apparent right as they were going to record the album at the New York plant studios. They separated, and Ono suggested that May Pang
that was a little odd,
hook up with Lennon, and that of course started the famous 18-month Lost Weekend that we could do an entire video on at some point. But that's kind of where we're at on this album right now, and then we'll just get right into the first track, the self-titled track, my favorite track on this entire record, Mind Games. And this is unique because right away there's some different instrumentation here. You have the mellotron, which I thought was unique, and it just had a nice melody in here, and the melodies throughout this record are some of John's strongest. You don't necessarily think of him as the melody master as compared to Paul, but here I thought he stepped up his melodic musical backing.
Yeah, and this track was begun in 1969. It could be heard on the Get Back, which turned into the Let It Be sessions. It was originally titled Make Love, Not War, which was a popular hippie slogan at the time. After John finished reading the book Mind Games, The Guide to Inner Space, that's when he got all of this thing put together. I think it's a great vocal performance was the thing that stood out for me on this, and it was also my favorite. That brings us into the second track, which I'll say it the way it's put here, Tight As, but that's not really what the song is about. It's kind of a 50s rockabilly type thing. When it was actually shocked he got this past the censors.
Yeah, there's no cutting it. This is the worst track on the album.
Oh, I agree 100%. We hadn't talked about this. I agree 100%.
I don't think it's close. It just missed the mark. It lyrically was pretty, hollow.
Yeah, it's just the throwaway, man.
And yeah, that's a good word for it, throwaway. I wasn't feeling it too much. And then takes us to our next song, Aisumasen, in parentheses, I'm sorry.
And that's what it stands for in Japanese. It's an apology to Yoko. Obviously, we already talked about they're going through all these problems and these issues. I thought it was a pretty good song. It was a bit long for me. It clocks in at 4 minutes, 45 seconds. I thought it got to be a bit repetitive, but it was okay for me.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was one of those good patented heartfelt numbers that Lennon is so noted to compose. It had a big Plastic Ono Band vibe to it. I think it would have fit well on that record.
That's a good point.
And then we'll just keep on rocking to track number 4, One Day at a Time. And again, this is written about him and Yoko amid the trials in their marriage, and it's composed when looking at different comparisons. We have weakness and strength, woman, man, together, apart. And then he goes through and starts to use metaphors of what Yoko is. She's the C, a tree, a key, John's a B. I like the line, every morning I wake up in your smile, feeling your breath on my face and the love in your eyes. Here we had some backing vocals, which we'll hear a couple more times throughout the record, some hums in there, gave it a little bit more production flair, pretty mellow track.
Once again, be a broken record. I honestly don't dislike this record. I don't like this song either. I don't like the songwriting on it. It's just not for me. But that will bring me to a song that is for me, Bring on the Lucy, in parentheses, Free to People. Protest song. It dates back from late 71. It started out as little more than a chorus after he acquired a national guitar. After working on the lyrics, it went from a simple political slogan to a full-blown statement that hints at some of his earlier work, such as Imagine and Power to the People. I really enjoyed this one, Trey. It's much more up-tempo, and I thought John sounded fantastic.
Yeah, I love the guitar work on here. That's one of the highlights throughout the entire record.
Yeah, it is. Good point.
Has a little bit of a crunchy, distorted type of sound to it. It, again, is talking here about the corrupted higher-up officials and how they just need to free the people. Particularly scathing line, well, you were caught with your hands in the kill and you still got to swallow your pill as you slip and slide down the hill on the blood of the people you killed. John's known to be
that was great, man.
Pretty biting, and that I think one of the best composed songwriting efforts from Lennon on this record. And then we go into just a song that's 3-4 seconds of silence.
Nutopian International Anthem. Nutopia is a country that John and Yoko made up at an April Fool's Day news conference, kind of to poke fun at John's issues with citizenship here. So it is what it is. 3 seconds of silence, which takes us to Intuition, which starts the B-side, relates how life experience has honed his instincts and how it's good to have gotten through it.
Yeah, John notes here when he struggles in the night, the magic of music, helps him through that. A more positive song, and there are a lot more positive songs on this record than what you're maybe used to hearing from Lennon, and it had a bit of a funk twinge to it as well, so I dug it.
Yeah, I thought it was okay, and that was the thing I noted. It has interesting instrumentation in it. So yeah, it was fine for me. I love the next song, Out the Blue.
And this yet again is dedicated to Yoko and reflects Lennon's self-doubt. It states his gratitude for Ono appearing in his life out of the blue and providing his life's energy. Here we have a bunch of different musical genres that come in as well, and instrumentation start off a little bit more melancholy.
And then it builds. That's a nice...
Exactly. We get the choir coming in. I thought this was the best produced song on the album, and again showed positivity on Lennon's side, some thankfulness. So I enjoyed this one and it stood out.
Yeah, I agree 100%. This and Mind Games are kind of tied for me for my favorite. I think his vocal emotion on this song is classic Lennon, so I thought it was fantastic. Which brings us to Only People. John said it was based on his and Yoko's personal philosophy, but said it just kind of never worked for him, so he didn't even like it. I thought it was fine.
Yeah, it was a middle-of-the-road track for me. Again, we revisit themes of unity and watching for Big Brother, so another common thread that's found throughout the record.
And that takes us to I Know, and then in parentheses, I Know.
Lennon wasn't high on this song
no, he was
either.
Not.
Probably about his relationship with Ono, but some people think that it's a veiled response to McCartney.
Yeah, like a olive branch, an apology to him.
Yeah, from his 1971 song, Some People Never Know. And we have some throwback Beatles lines in here as well. Today I love you more than yesterday, and I know it's getting better all the time. So who knows? You could read it from a lot of different lenses.
Yeah, and a few people said it maybe it may pang since they were in the middle of their affair at the time. Who knows? I like it. I think it's a really good song.
No, I dug this one too, and anytime you get a little throwback and Easter eggs to the Beatles
we will
songs,
take it, baby. We will take it. We miss it.
Absolutely, and we're going to start to close out the album
with You Are Here, which is just about how John and Yoko came together. It's a so-so song once again for me. Don't hate it. It doesn't stand out.
Yeah, it was a bit forgettable for me as well. Very mellow vibe, which I think could be said for most of the songs on this entire album. Doesn't mean it's bad, but it just kind of blended in with some of these other tracks. And then we finished the record off with Meat City, and this is a more rocker. The first verse was written kind of from the perspective where Lennon was coming to New York City, saw the hustle and bustle of everything going on around him.
Second part reflects his view of China, which Lennon viewed as the next frontier of rock and roll and possibly an opportunity to use rock music as a means of liberation. This one used backmasking on the album version. After the first refrain of "You just got to get some rock and roll," there's a squeaky vocal which when played backwards says "F a pig," but he actually says it. On the single version, the backmasking in that place says "Check the album."
I thought that it did what it wanted to do. It reflected the vibrancy of New York City. I thought it was a good closer. And again, the guitar work here was fantastic. We've got to give a shout out to David Spinozza, as well as Sneaky Pete. He did the pedal steel guitar on some of the songs on this record, which gave a little country vibe to it. Great legendary session musician in his own right. And then that's going to take us to our favorite tracks. For me, really two just stood out, and that would be the self-titled Mind Games, as well as Out of the Blue.
Yeah, those are mine too. Those are mine as well. That kind of takes us to our overall grade. So for me, I didn't dislike this album. I really like Plastic Ono Band. I gave it a very high rating. I loved Imagine, listen to that thing on repeat. This one I wasn't feeling nearly as much. It's fine. I give it a 7.25.
Yeah, I reflect a lot of the thoughts you do. There wasn't a lot of songs I would consider bad on here.
No.
There was just a lot that were kind of there, solid, and very few reached that good to great level, I think. But all in all, still a solid effort. I'm going to go with 7.0 out of 10. And we got Walls and Bridges next up, which I've heard good things about. So be on the lookout for that one, and let us know what you think of Mind Games in the comment section below. As always, Dad, appreciate the research, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that big red subscribe button. We upload multiple times a week in a variety of genres. And until next time, happy listening, my friends, and we will see ya.